Hello and welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. It's so nice to have you all here today. It is Monday, and we have another one of our very special shows. So I just want to first, before we get started, say hello to Amnon.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine. Before anything goes on, I just want to thank him because he is a man of steel and patience like Job. Is that how it goes? Because he's been doing great here. We've been doing all kinds of techie things and figuring things out, and he's been doing a great job. So now let's get started. So today we have a really interesting show on, and it's my guest, is Carol Pepe Hewitt. She's the author of this really interesting book called Financing Our Food Shed, Growing Local Food with Slow Money. And I'm all about, everything is about empowering us people, to do whatever it is that we need to do, whether it's separately, together, but taking back our control. So I'm really delighted to have her on talking about slow money. And along with her is going to be Jane Norton, who is a lender in this process. And then we have somebody else coming on later on who's going to be a receiver of one of these loans. So I don't want to talk too much. I just want to start to get Carol on, and she's going to start to share with us all about slow money. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. This is very fun.
Good.
Delighted to be here.
Good. Well, I was telling Carol earlier, my husband had tuned into NPR months ago and had heard something about this thing called slow money. And he was just like, slow money? It just makes like perfect sense, slow money. And then we actually went to a local farmer's market and came upon Screech, who sells probably the best tomatoes I've ever eaten. And he was a receiver of slow money. So it just, it's funny how things actually happen. So tell us your story. Like, where did you start? And define for us what slow money is.
Okay. Well, let me start there. Let me start by telling you what slow money is. And it's different around the country. This is a national movement. An extension of the local food movement is the slow money movement. Because slow money very specifically supports small scale, sometimes larger, but sustainable farmers and local food businesses, local food entrepreneurs that support those farmers. So a slow money loan might go to a farmer for a tiller or a cooler or a seeder. It also might go to someone like Angelina in Pittsburgh, who runs Angelina's Kitchen, a Greek restaurant, because anytime Angelina can, her menu is full of local food. So you can go in there and you know that the chicken salad is made with Tucker's Lily Den chicken, and you know that the tomatoes are from Screech.
And she will tell you, because she's also at the farmer's market, but I do want to just say this, because we have people who will be listening to this from all over the country and probably from the world. So know that this is something that is in North Carolina, but is also going city by city.
Right.
So when you listen to this, be aware that this could be in your back door, and you can take part in this as well. So we might talk about some local businesses, but keep in mind that this is happening across the country.
Right, and I keep going back to the examples of local businesses because it's the stories that are compelling, and it's the people that matter. We're going to talk about money. We need to talk about money. We don't openly talk about our money, which is part of the reason our economy is so broken.
We're scared of money.
We're terrified, and we won't talk about it. But if we did, and we do in North Carolina with the Slow Money Project, we talk openly and honestly about the possibility of making a small, low-interest, usually short-term, direct, peer-to-peer loan from one kind human being to a passionate other. And we've made now about 85 loans in North Carolina, facilitated by me as the Slow Money Network leader. So Slow Money North Carolina doesn't have any money. Slow Money is not a pool. It's not a fund. It's an idea. It's an idea that was started by a brilliant man named Woody Tash, who lives in Boulder now, and wrote a book called Inquiries into the Nature of Slow Money. But if you just Google slow money, it comes right up. And so he came to Pittsburgh, actually, and spoke in 2010, and I heard him speak, and that's the beginning of Slow Money North Carolina. A few of us heard him speak and said, why don't we do this? Why don't we take control of some of our money? He challenged people, take 1% of your portfolio and stop sending it out into faraway places and giving it to people and putting it in the hands of people that you have no idea what they're doing with it. Why don't you take back that control, which I know you enjoy the sound
Oh,
of.
I love that. I love a controlling person.
Yeah, and you put it in your community.
Right.
So when I loaned Angelina money so that she could take out a huge chunk of credit card debt that she got, used when she opened her business, loaned her $3,000. Instead of loaning at 18% like her credit card, a couple of us loaned her some money at 2%, and that loan's paid off now. Took her a couple of years; she's completely paid off. Well, you never would get your credit card paid off in 2 years. It just doesn't happen that way. So, just again to summarize, Slow Money is an idea started by Woody Tash that became a movement when he started sharing this idea. I jumped on board, so did Lyle Estel, so did Jordan Puryear, so did Jane Norton, who's going to come on later, so did many of us in North Carolina. We started facilitating and making loans, threw together a quick website. It's slowmoneync.org or .com, doesn't matter. And on there you can find out how to become a borrower, and you can find out how to become a lender. These are personal, friendly relationships made between two friends that care about each other and like each other, like the project. The lender likes the project and wants to make a loan.
And they don't necessarily have to have started out as friends, but when you get that close, when you have this affinity for someone and the fact that they're doing something to make a difference in their business, I think that a lot of times that relationship gets fostered and grows, and then that connection, and you go into their local store, you go in and you buy their product, and you might see the item that you help fund, which how cool is that?
It is very exciting. And they are friends before the loan gets made. So we're not approaching strangers for money.
So, like, let's say Jane Norton's going to come on. So let's say, for instance, she was friends with someone.
Well, she actually already knew Eric
Okay.
Henry of TS Designs.
But
She at least knew of him, and then met him personally, and she can say more about that. But built a personal relationship. The lender has to decide if they want to make the loan. So right now, for example, in Burlington, where that same loan was made, TS Designs has an organic cotton T-shirt company. But they weren't growing their own cotton here in North Carolina. They were having to buy the cotton from other places. That's changed, and when Jen calls in from TS Designs in a little while, she can tell you that story.
Okay.
But for example, there's a cheesemaker in Burlington right now, and they're going to make aged cheeses when they get enough money to build a cave. So we're now going to have Manchego-style cheeses, hard cheeses, that are made right here in the Triangle area.
So I want to ask you just like a personal question.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I want to ask you like what the word slow money means, but personally, what does this mean to you to be able to be part of this?
Right. Well, I think all of us that are activists, it goes back to somewhere in our childhood that we saw some inequity. We saw something and we thought, that's wrong. When I have power, I will fix it. So when I was a little girl, I lived in a very rural area of northwest Connecticut, and it was full farms. You could go down the road and farm after farm. And in my lifetime, I watched all those farms go away. I think there were 2 when I left for college. Because small farmers couldn't survive. The economy changed all that. Conventional agriculture changed all that. And subsidies were not available to them. And for so many reasons. So here it is, a few decades later, and I'm now addicted to good local food. I love the idea of it. I like the taste of it. I love shopping at my farmers markets, though when I first started this, there were not nearly as many 3 years ago. They're just growing like crazy. We had a co-op market we were trying to get started if we just had enough people that cared. So, but I knew from my own experience, I run a small business with my husband, Mark Hewitt, who's a potter in the area, that we could not have gotten our small business off the ground without a small loan from a friend or a family member. And the capital is what keeps farmers from farming. So we're losing farmland. It's very hard for small farmers to get going, but for a few $1,000s. And that to me, that just was too good of a challenge, too much of an opportunity to see how much impact we could have here in the Triangle area and then throughout North Carolina. Could we just, with a few $1,000s per person, could we significantly impact the number of small-scale farms in North Carolina? I mean, at this point, we're at about 44 farms and food businesses that have gotten slow money loans, and that's just in 3 years. We've moved over $1 million.
3 years is nothing. in the scheme of things. When
Not really.
when they say an ant can do whatever, I mean 3 years is nothing in the scheme of things. Can you imagine what you can do? What you've done in 3 years? Can you imagine what you can do wherever you are?
So that's what I spend some of my time doing now, actually, is wherever you are. It's one of the reasons that I wrote the book, Financing Our Food Shed, because I wanted to tell these stories, and I wanted people that couldn't get me to come talk to them. I can't be everywhere at once, though I try. That they could read these stories. They could read the blueprint for how I did this. It's all in here. The story of Woody Tash Cumming, how we built
So
a
we're not
website.
going to get to everything, so you're
No.
going to have to buy this book. So let me show it to you. Buy this book.
There actually is a
Okay.
website, www.financingourfoodshed.
Okay.
And you can get to me there. You can get to the book there. You can get to my speaking engagements. I'm going to be in Pennsylvania this weekend. I just came back from Kentucky and Ohio. And if you want to get a slow money group going in your area, I will help you. Others at the national level will help you. We'll tell you all
we want
the
it to
tricks.
work.
Well, the
Yeah.
more, imagine
Imagine.
if there was just a little slow money activity in every city USA, we would have so much locally grown food.
So there's a lot I want to ask you. So don't obviously not go anywhere. So let me introduce Jane Norton to all of you here again. Jane is a lender, and the other thing about it is that Jane and I have known each other for many, many years, and Jane has always been into sustainability, and our paths again have crossed. So I want to welcome Jane to our show. Welcome, Jane.
Thanks, Marilyn.
It's good to see
And
you.
hi, Carol.
Hi, Jane.
Now, Jane is a lender, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you knew Jane. So
Jane and I have been friends for a very long time.
Okay,
And both
maybe
of
longer
us-
than us.
Both
Yeah.
of us in the training and consulting field. So
Okay.
I say a very funny thing in my book, which I won't quote, but Jane was never one to have a huge amount of capital, but a huge heart, and spent her life as an activist. So she made change without investing. Until she contacted me one time, and I'll let her tell you the story.
Okay, so go ahead. Take over.
So I was lucky enough to inherit some money from my parents, and just 2 and 3 years ago, and a majority of it was in stocks. And when I saw the list of the stocks that it was invested in, it was the list of every company or every field that I would not want to have my money invested in. Mining, oil and gas, big box stores, big pharma, big banks. And so I said, sell it and give me the cash and let me figure out what to do with it. And Carol, I knew, had started the Slow Money program. And so we were actually both at an event down in Star, North Carolina. And there was a woman there, Alice Hinman, who I knew, and she's a beekeeper, and she has a honey business called Girl Honey. And so Alice was mentioning that Carol had done a talk at this event about slow money, and Alice was mentioning that a loan could help her grow her business because she wanted to try a different kind of beehive. And I pulled her over to Carol and I said, Carol, here's someone who needs a loan, and I'll be her lender. And I kind of surprised myself. And Carol's never anyone to miss an opportunity, and she went, done. But so I did that loan with Alice, and I felt really good about it. And then when the opportunity to do the TS Designs Organic Cotton Club came up for the second time, I missed it the first time, I jumped in there. And then I've also done a third loan to a nut butter maker who wanted to expand his operations. So I'm in the peanut gallery as well.
Well, let me just say, I have things I want to ask you too, but I can't think of anything almost that's any more perfect for you than this.
Yeah.
You know, my heart wants to just burst out crying. Because I know how important small businesses have been to you when you wanted to do that book years ago. You know, the directory you were doing years ago?
Yeah.
And just so wonderful that you do. So you invest money. Can you share how much you've invested? Is that something you can share?
Yeah, let me add it up. Let's see, 5, 6, and 8. In slow money, 11 and 8, 19? in slow money, and I have a little bit more than I'm waiting for another. I'm going to do another slow money loan.
And so, are you making money from this?
Yes.
Okay, you are.
Two of them I get a 2% return, and one I get a 4% return. Two of them are 5-year loans, and one is a 1-year loan. So each loan is different, and it's negotiated between the lender and the lendee.
So what is a minimum amount to loan as a lender? What would be a minimum amount?
Well, typically we don't get requests we have had a $500 request one time. Somebody needed labels very quickly for a product, or the health department would shut them down. But typically, you can imagine that less than about $1,000 doesn't really get you. Most people, if they only need $1,000, they can find it somewhere. Mm-hmm. So typically, they're going to be the request will be $2,000, $4,000, $15,000, $30,000, and then depending on the loan, we might take, that $15,000 and put it. People decide that, well, I really don't want to do 15, but I'll do 5, and someone else will do 5, and I'll do 5, and they spread the risk that way. Because the question I always get asked, so we should get right to that one, is, do any of these loans fail? What about the defaults? And Jane and I have had that conversation because of course, I always say to people, you decide, it's your decision as a lender, but this has to be money you can afford to lose. If you put it in the stock market, it better be money you can afford to lose, because someone else is in charge of it. And these are businesses. These are small businesses, and they have a certain risk factor. Some of them are riskier than others, and the lenders are really very good and astute at figuring that out. And if they're not, there are friends and people they can ask for guidance on that. So we have had a couple of loans out of those 85. Yeah.
What's the percentage?
Well, I think we're up to 44 or 45 projects now, so different farms and foods. The two that failed right away were in the very first year, and we didn't really understand very well what we were doing. We knew we didn't know what we were doing, and the way to find out was to try it. Okay. And so we helped a farmer who had a terrible, terrible season, and a couple of people lost a couple $1,000. We helped someone who was going to start a brand new business and really overextended. It wasn't really that good of a business model. We all know that now looking back. The good news is we spread that loan over about 5 people. So, number of people lost a few thousand dollars. Now in 2012, 2013, we're better at this, and we haven't had any defaults recently. Mm-hmm. But we have to assume that could happen, and in some cases, it's not really a default. It just takes a little longer to pay it back.
Is that why it's called slow money?
That's why it's called slow money.
I got my is that the definition?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the definition. So so you are lending money and you don't need a quick return on your dollar.
It's not that you don't need a quick return. We go ahead and use a promissory note. We figure out what the interest rate's going to be. I encourage people to set it as reasonably as they can, 2%, 3%, 4%. The goal is to help the borrower, not to make their life difficult. This is impact investing. We're in this for the impact. We're in this because we care about the planet. And the ultimate goal, truly, of slow money is to build resilience in our local food shed, resilience in our soil, resilience in our planet, so that there will be access to local food for many generations to come, but not unless we do something very quickly, all over the place, as much as possible. Right. So we're really, we're taking control of the production of local food by supporting it. The banks can't possibly do this. Even if they wanted to, there isn't enough money in a $5,000 loan for 2 years, even at 5 or 6%. There's just not enough. It just takes too much time. So they're not going to do that. There are other avenues that people can access for money. One is crowdfunding, like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. That's another completely different project idea. Our borrowers will layer it in, so they'll have a layer of slow money. They'll get $15,000 from slow money. They'll also raise $5,000 on a Kickstarter campaign. Cocoa Cinnamon in Durham had a very successful Kickstarter campaign, but at the very end they needed a bit more, and they called me, and we were able to identify some customers of theirs that cared about their project, and they finished off with an extra, either $10,000 or $15,000 in several slow money loans to get those doors open.
Because that's a great, I love that place. I had no clue that they were slow money.
Well, just for fun, if you go to the slowmoneync.org website and look under loans, there's a drop-down menu, and as fast as we can get it updated, we have 2 more we did in the last week. We can't even get them up there in time fast enough, but you can read all the loans. It's a paragraph or so and a picture of the person that got the loan. So it's all up there on the website.
That's great. Jane, is there something you wanted to add at this point?
Well, yeah, I will say that I did invest an equal amount of money in a microfinance program. That's an international program where you can choose the different projects that you want to loan your money to. And I loaned to small women businesses in Central and South America. However, and every quarter they send me my dividends and they send information about what's going on, a newsletter. But it still doesn't give me the same satisfaction as a slow money loan does, because I know the people here that I have loaned the money to. I can go and see their businesses. In fact, the first 2 people, TS Designs and Girl Honey, I knew those folks before I did the loan. But the third person, Mark Overbay, with the Nut Butter Company, I did not know him, but Carol set it up so that we could meet each other, and he was so passionate about his business, and he was already successful in it, and so I decided I wanted to jump in there. But when they get everything set up, the lenders are going to get to come and see what their operations, and I can visit him at the farmer's market and buy his products. And so I just think that the thing that really is so inspiring about this is that we know the people. You either know them ahead of time or you get to know them and see their operations. And it just feels so good to be a part of something in the local community in that way.
So they bring you an idea as well as they already can be in business.
Right.
They can be at different stages of their business.
Yes. So that company, by the way, is called Big Spoon Roasters. Y'all can Google that, and his nut butters are local nuts, and they're phenomenal. Amazing. Just nuts and honey. No extra this, no extra that. It's an amazing business. So how do we match people up? And it's very important that Jane did get to know Mark, because the regulations we're dealing with here allow friends and family to make loans to one another. It's perfectly legal. So as long as you build
I love that thought. I mean,
it's perfectly legal. It happens all the time. I mean, I've loaned money to a niece
stop you?
to start a jewelry
you.
business. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, well, that's legal. What's not legal, and for very good reason, is knocking on the door and saying, "I'm a stranger. I'm starting a business. Will you loan me all the money you have?" So we don't do that. We don't solicit people in that way. We do throw wonderful slow money gatherings, and you can do that anywhere around the country. Call me. I'll tell you how. And you get a bunch of people together. You invite everybody that you know. If they give them a little idea of the title, for example, I've spoken at things like green drinks, and people show up to see what slow money is about. Some of them need money, some of them want to loan money. I talk about it, I stop talking, and in the back of the room, they meet each other, they talk things out, and loans get made. So I'm just the slow money escort service.
That left me speechless for a second. Because I feel somewhat the same way. I come here and I love to bring people like you here so everybody can be educated and empowered and self-controlled, and so we can make our own choices, and I just sit back and and just let it happen. Yep. We have to do that, and I think was it Jen? Jen is on. Jen?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now, Jen is a borrower, right?
That's right.
Good. So tell us your story.
So I work for TS Designs, the company that has already been mentioned. And we were launching on a new campaign. We were working towards growing 100% certified organic cotton in North Carolina. Organic cotton is much harder to grow than conventional cotton because there's a lot of extra steps, and especially with the U.S. certification label, there's even more steps. And it was touch and go along the way because of all the steps. We didn't know until the very end whether or not this cotton was going to be apparel ready, and we found out that it was actually excellent cotton. We had 2 farmers from Nash County, North Carolina, volunteer to grow and follow all the rules that needed to be abided by, and it was January 2012, and we needed to be able to pay the farmers so that we could get the cotton and so that we could start making T-shirts, dirt to short, North Carolina certified organic cotton. And Eric Henry, the president of TS Designs, approached Carol and said, we need money. And they were able to come to an agreement. In fact, Carol was able to find 5 different investors to invest a certain amount of money into this endeavor, and they were called the Cotton Club.
That is very cool. And somebody's asking on our chat, and I just saw the question really quick, are these cotton fields near the beach? I don't know if that was a serious question.
Well, it is on the eastern side of North
Eastern,
Carolina,
okay.
so they're much closer to the coast than
They
the
are.
mountains.
Okay. So you are up and running, and how long have you been up and running?
Well, the first crop of certified organic cotton was last year, so we've actually had so people are wearing T-shirts, certified organic cotton grown in North Carolina, again funded by Slow Money. I love how each step of the way, this is all local. This is all local endeavors, local people invested in making this happen. And
can I ask you a question? So
Sure.
when you go to work every day, does it mean something different to you to know that your neighbor or your friend or somebody down the street or somebody that somebody else knows invested in your business? Does it matter to you? Does it make a difference to everybody who goes to work?
Absolutely, because the work that we do, the supply chain that is involved in making the T-shirts as well, employs over 500-600 North Carolinians. I mean, this is, the way things are connected, and our business positively affects other businesses here in our own state.
Where is it being sold? Where are the shirts being sold?
We sell shirts through TS Designs. We also have an online retail store, and there are also small businesses in Mebane, in Asheville. I think there's one in Wilmington who are going to start carrying our T-shirts as well.
So if you're a progressive business, if you care about this, and you have a T-shirt order that you're about to do for your festival or for your nonprofit, why are you not ordering these? In other words, it's wonderful. Now that we're getting this word out, these are beautiful T-shirts. They already had a fantastic technique of a wax design on the front, so that you don't feel the design on the front. That was already part of their, part of what they're doing very well. So at any rate, you can go to TS Designs on their website, and you can order dirt to shirt websites. Now, T-shirts. Now, will they be more expensive? Maybe a couple of dollars. But the kind of people, the people that care about this, I don't buy very many T-shirts. I'd rather buy one less T-shirt,
Absolutely,
and buy one that I know is this incredibly high quality.
And I think we have a phone. We have a phone call. Hello.
Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Carol. Hi, Jane. I have a question.
And who is
from
it? And
the
who's
chat.
calling?
This is Chris.
Hey, Chris. Oh, Chris, I didn't hear you. Okay. Hey.
That's okay. The question is from Debbie, and she's wondering, how do you manage to grow organic cotton in the United States without dealing with the boll weevil larvae, the aphids? She mentioned something called thrips. She was just curious how you grow it organically and how you manage those pests. And then there was another question about how can folks find the T-shirts?
What was the last question?
How can you find the T-shirt?
Oh, how can you find the T-shirt? Okay.
Yeah, what is the website to order the T-shirts if folks wanted to link up with that?
Jen, do you want to dive in there on the farm question, or would you like me to take it?
Well, I can actually tell you that the pests aren't as big of a problem as the weeds. That's actually been the biggest challenge to growing organic cotton. It's affected this year's crop severely, as well as all the rain that we received. And actually, that's going to be brought onto the table. We've got a conference set up very soon where we're going to be getting agricultural professionals to really tackle this issue. As far as where can somebody buy a t-shirt, you can go to the TS Designs website. It's tsdesigns.com. But I think the best way to find out about our t-shirts would be on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And then I see that Debbie, who's the queen of the homeopaths, she also has a show here, and she's terrific. She said, check out agro-homeopathy remedies, is what she's suggesting.
Good to know.
Oh, great.
What's exciting about this is that it's asking these farmers that grow massive amounts of cotton to take a little corner and grow us a few acres of organic cotton is kind of like asking Exxon to just make a gallon of biodiesel for us. They're like, you're kidding? Well, of course we're not going to do that. So I have so much admiration for these two farmers that said, okay, we're going to try this. Part of that, I think, is that they would love not to have to buy their seeds from certain companies that they hate dealing with.
That should remain nameless?
That should remain nameless.
I don't know. Why nameless?
Well, I'm assuming they get their Monsanto seeds, and so therefore they can't save any seeds. And they love the idea of actually transforming their fields to organic if they can figure out how. So we're not going to get to this overnight, but we did 100 acres, we did another 100 acres. Let's say next year they figure out how to add to 500 acres, and little by little, you've got a substantial amount of organic cotton grown. So we're making history, and history doesn't happen overnight.
That's why they call it history.
That's why they call it history. So I was really so excited about this project.
Well, I don't think I ever understood so clearly what the food chain meant.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Because when you think of food, but then here we have a T-shirt, and then you think of, well, what else is there that you can come up with as an idea that would help support and be part of this food chain,
right?
Part of the chain to keep the farmer alive, part of the chain to keep us all alive and keep the local thing going. And what else is? I mean, you have you talked about the cheese,
right?
You talk about things like that, but then there are other types of hard products, like a T-shirt, like clothing in general, like what else?
Right, and apparel is about the worst when it comes to being imported, being made by children. You just don't want to look. Right. Eric Henry always asks people when he gives talks, how many of you know where your clothes were made from? One article of clothing. And about the only local U.S.-made item is probably your socks, maybe your T-shirt if you're wearing one. So that's just, and you made such a good point. The food shed, people say, well, what's the food shed? So imagine water. The watershed is, the area around a river. Your food shed's where your food comes from. If you look at what you're buying at the grocery store, chances are, unless you go into the produce section and you look really hard and you start asking hard questions, none of the food in your local grocery stores is grown locally. It's being shipped in from other places, so it's already old, and it's processed and it's packaged. But the food shed goes all the way from the soil, start with that, just the soil, and then go all the way to chewing, to eating. And between the soil and the eater, there are all kinds of fascinating businesses. There's composting tea, and there's distribution, getting seafood from the coast, a couple 100 miles up to Raleigh, let's say.
Is that you, Jane?
So there's so much opportunity there, but those businesses are going to need support. They're going to need to know that somewhere out there are people in their community that would help them if they wanted to get this started. So the local food movement is exciting and strong and growing everywhere.
And it encompasses so much more. So there's so much to this. Jane, did you have I know you've been listening. Did you have anything to add to what Jen was talking about?
Well, I just have always, the guys that started TS Designs, Tom Syneath and Eric Henry, are kind of heroes of mine because they were a traditional T-shirt company that almost lost their business when NAFTA came in, and their customers, who are all the big names, started getting all their T-shirts printed overseas. And they have reinvented themselves, and then they reinvented themselves as a sustainable green company, and they have just taken it to the max. They're constantly creating new opportunities and looking for opportunities. And so I think that, so they were already being a creative company, but I think something like Slow Money can help other businesses who might not have the opportunity to be creative that way to do so. If they have a creative idea and they can't get a traditional loan, Slow Money can help them. So
Right.
it helps creativity and innovation too.
Absolutely, and to be in North Carolina, to be able to do this, because there's so many things that people kind of poo-poo about being in North Carolina, but this is one of the things that makes me proud to be a Carolinian.
You should be,
Yeah.
because we've pioneered this movement. There's nowhere else in the United States are they making as
And I
many
want
of
to
these
talk to you.
peer-to-peer loans.
Hold on one second. We have somebody else on the line. Hello?
Hi, this is Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia. How are you?
I'm good. I'm getting a car towed, and I'm waiting on the tow truck, and I'm being very well entertained by your show, and I want to thank Carol and Jane for everything that they do.
Good. Thank you for saying
she?
that.
Where is she
Are you in Chapel Hill?
I'm in Raleigh.
You're in Raleigh.
Someone
But I
talking
just wanted to
about
know,
how
your
many
show's
loans
so
are
interesting that I didn't want to miss it, so I'm on the telephone watching.
Do you have a question?
I don't have a question.
Okay.
Just
Well, it's good to
appreciate
know that you're enjoying the show.
it.
Thank
I'll
you.
get, I'll
Hopefully-
get back.
Yeah,
Hopefully the tow truck won't come until we
Yeah.
finish.
And let me just say
Okay.
and hold on one
It's
second.
an hour and a half. They
Oh,
told
my
me it would
God.
be an hour and a half.
Oh gosh. Well, stay dry and warm and comfortable.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye,
Bye,
honey.
Jane.
Thanks. Let me just say, if
Thanks.
you do call in, just wait on the line. We know that you're there, and we'll get to you. But some of the conversation is so great, I don't want to interrupt it. So just bear with me. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
So one of the things people ask me is how many people are waiting for money? And this is truly in North Carolina what I think makes Slow Money slow. This is a nonprofit. I mean, it's an entirely nonprofit. We tucked ourselves under the Abundance Foundation in Pittsburgh, North Carolina, to be our fiscal sponsor. We get donations, but we because of those donations, I now do have a part-time, kind of what Jen is doing for TS Designs, media person that's helping me get a newsletter out, helping me with the contact.
Did you
management.
not? You have no salary for this.
I have not taken a salary, so I have been able to raise a little bit of money to pay for my expenses when I travel, and I am hoping to start collecting something of a salary, because without that I can't replace myself. I can't get anybody to do what I'm doing for free. I have done it because I care. I've taken a little bit of money from the pool, but not much. So there's not a lot of money in running Slow Money, but it doesn't have to take up a lot of time. Someone could do this in Wilmington and help me out, or out in Winston-Salem, or out in Asheville, and we could work together for just a few hours a week or even less. So what happens is, if I get an application from a farmer in Winston-Salem, but I don't have any lenders in Winston-Salem, we can't make that match. So what we need in Slow Money is for people that care and want to make the loan to jump onto the website and put that information in. It comes to me as an email. It's not a promise. It's just your contact information. Where would you like to make a loan? What kind of loan would you like to make? How much generally would you like to make? And then still you might not hear back from us for weeks, because we're just making these matches as best we can with the time that we have available. So if we had a little more money for staffing, we could do more of this. But it's always amazing what you can do. I tell people, if my laptop is open, Slow Money is open. If my laptop is closed, we're closed. So we really, on very little bit of money, have managed to make these loans. We don't collect any fees. That would make us a bank. So if you're listening to the show, or you know people that say, well, I sent in something, I never heard from them, we're getting to you as fast as we can, kind of like the callers. But right now I do have people in various places around North Carolina that are interested in projects and would love to expand, and we're just hoping that someone will show an interest, from their food shed.
It's kind of like you need Slow Money chapters.
Well, that's kind of what we are. We're the North Carolina chapter, and we have, a local group starting in Charlotte, in Wilmington, in Asheville, in Greensboro, in Rocky Mount, Tarboro, I'm going out to Greenville next month, and if someone in that place will connect with me and coordinate with me, we can get loans made. It's pretty amazing.
It is. It really is. I think of, so I often thought, I just want to start my own bank,
Yeah.
to be able to just, give and take and lend and, all those things. Like, why not?
A little complicated. We talked about that with one of the very earliest ideas that we called the Bank of Good Ideas.
Yeah.
And out of the Chicory Hills Grassroots Fest,
Money worth spreading.
the slow money idea actually got started, though we didn't know what it was called, at the Chicory Hills Grassroots Festival in April of 2010. We on Sunday afternoon we meet from 1 to 2 and we talk about ideas underneath the sustainability tent gazebo. And we were talking about couldn't we start a bank of good ideas, and we would loan money to people, wonderful projects like this. The little bit of investigation that we did showed us that that's a very complicated process. People are starting or transforming credit unions. That is one way to go. And I would say, in addition to slow money, if I could just put one pitch in here or one plug, go find out where your investments are. There's something called socially responsible investing. Ask your financial planner, and if they don't know how to do it, or if you don't think they do it well, change. You don't have to lose any money. Just move your money to things like Parnassus and Calvert and some of these wonderful funds. Calvert has a community development fund. All of that money is used in the United States to develop community projects. It's not out on Wall Street. So you can invest, if your larger amount of your investments, and then just say, well, what if I took 1%, 2% of my portfolio and put it into the slow money projects, wherever you live. And if you don't, by the way, I know there are some people listening in that are not from North Carolina. There is a national organization and a new program getting started called Gather Round. So anyone in the United States can donate money, and that money will be loaned out. So that'll be a donation. So if people will sometimes say to me, I don't really want to make a loan, I just want to help you. It's like, not a problem. There's a donate button on the website, and we will use your donation to make more loans.
So, Jen, are you listening?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. So, I know you've heard different things going on. From what you've heard at this point, what else did you want to share from your perspective? Was there anything? You go ahead.
No, I had never heard of slow money until I started working here at TS Designs. In fact, I've already picked up financing our food shed, and I'm about halfway through it. I actually haven't even gotten to the Cotton Club story yet, even though I lived it. And, I live it a part of each day as I kind of, market what we do here at TS Designs. But it's a great book. I mean, I've just fallen in love with how neighbors, really, because that's what it is. It's neighbors helping neighbors. It's such an amazing concept, and I am really proud to be a part of it. The small part that I have and the part that I have to kind of share that story and amplify the message. It just makes me so proud. This is such a fulfilling place to be.
Yeah, it is. And I was just, I was listening to you and I was thinking, sometimes people want to hide the fact that they had to get a loan for something. But I think this is one of those things you don't want to hide. I think this is one of the times that you want to be able to, put it on your forehead. I got slow money. Because it means so much more than just getting a loan.
It's true. We had a fundraiser this summer, which was a lot of fun. And when people registered, came in, they got a button that said, proud to be a slow money lender or proud to be a slow money borrower. And it was very sweet. There was a moment when a woman had not admitted that she was a lender. She wasn't wearing her badge. But she was sitting at a table with a young woman that she had loaned to. And that was fine. Fine that she wants to be anonymous. That's completely fine with us. But it was cute to see them sitting together and realizing that you're not going to do that on Wall Street. Right. You're not going to sit and enjoy, a piece of pizza with a young woman that you helped get her business started. And I want to throw in here that several of our lenders are under 30 years old.
Oh, that's a very good point.
And our borrowers and our lenders, it's a wide variety. Most of the lenders in North Carolina These are not high net worth individuals. These are just ordinary folk. They may or may not be. It doesn't matter. I don't ask. We're not looking only for accredited lenders because we're working with a different guideline, different regulation. So anybody can play.
Anybody can play in this field. I was thinking while you were talking, I was thinking about Jane. So with you, do you share that you're doing this with your friends? And
absolutely.
Yeah, I would think so.
Trying to encourage other people who have the same values to really participate in this.
Right.
And as Carol said, I didn't have money to invest before, but I wouldn't be sharing it if it was invested in Wall Street. I mean, people don't really talk about that. And this, I think, they're wonderful stories about these relationships and about these businesses, and it's fun to share. So I feel, I'm like Jen, I'm proud to have this. I feel honored and proud to have this opportunity.
And I feel honored and proud to have the three of you here. I'm just flowing.
One of the things that I wanted to put in the book is I wanted to talk about how people are funny about money. And there is a section called People Are Funny About Money. And I asked the lenders to share why they made loans, and they did. And I asked them this question, do you tell people? And I want to share a quote from Giles Blunden and Ginger Blakely from Chapel Hill made a loan. And at one point Ginger said, well, sometimes when I tell people about doing a slow money loan, they shake their heads. So usually I don't tell people who shake their heads. Which is, really perfect. And there's another quick story I'll share about a fellow who had very high net worth. He inherited tremendous amount of money, and he didn't know what to do with it. And he actually found me, sought me out at a conference I was at in California, and found me at a break and came up to me and said, can you help me? And I said, I don't know. And he said, I have a lot of money. You don't understand. I have a lot of money, and it's still coming in, and I don't know. What should I do? Should I buy farms? Should I get involved in incubator farming? Maybe that's not what I should do. Maybe I should. And I said, look, I don't care what you do. Just go home and loan someone $5,000. He said, well, that, I don't know. Well, which home? I own homes in 3 cities. So I said, I don't care. Just pick a place and make a loan. And I actually ran into him a few months later, and he was still struggling, and we had a lovely conversation. I said, look, you don't need to let your money freeze you up like this. People that have a lot of inherited wealth, it's a curse. It's a curse, and also they made a tremendous amount of money. It's a gift and a curse, and sometimes can be very immobilizing, and very difficult. So I said, just make a loan and call me, and he did. A couple weeks later, he sent me an email. He said, I'm so excited. I loaned someone $5,000. I said, great, do another one. He has since done a huge project with a school system getting healthy snacks into the public schools in a particular city. He has moved on to an entire other location where he's got a big slow food movement going, and he's doing all sorts of slow money lending. Amazing projects because he did that first $5,000 loan. So sometimes that's all it takes.
I was thinking while you were talking how interesting it would be even for publishing using paper. If anybody here locally, for instance, wanted to start a publishing company, not digital, obviously, because you can't use paper on digital, but local self-publishing company, to be able to buy, do something with paper. That would be part of this chain, wouldn't it?
So the screening mechanism is ask yourself about the soil. Ask yourself about the planet. So are you supporting soil fertility? So if paper is coming from trees and the harvesting and the replanting is building soil fertility in a particular area, that would make sense. That's why we were able to stretch to T-shirts, which are not really a food product, because we're taking cotton that's grown with toxic chemicals, etc., and we're transforming it to organic. So we're building soil fertility in that little corner of Nash County. So that's the question.
That's the question.
That's an easy, quick screen. Yes. So when someone contacted me and said, I want to make pizzas, I'm starting a pizza business, and I said, are you going to use any local tomato sauces? Or no. Where are you getting all your products? Well, Costco and the lenders that come to Slow Money care about this idea of sustainability and building resilience in our food shed. So I'm not going to be able, it's very unlikely I'm going to find a lender that wants to support you start a new pizza operation when you're doing, other than it's locally owned, you will own it. And then again, it might even have been a franchise. We didn't get that far in the conversation because you're not using local food. So that's the screening that comes in, or it's a software company, or anyway, it's got to be on mission.
And that's okay. And then, so I just want to also make a note that we didn't say this earlier, but Carol actually did the first loan, right? You did the first slow money loan. Is that right?
That's almost close. So
Okay.
the three of us that heard Woody Tash talk, as Lyle Estill, who owns Piedmont Biofuels, CEO of Piedmont Biofuels in Pittsburgh, North Carolina, and Jordan Purrier, who started the Shikori Festival, and I went out in the room, and as it happened, a young woman named Lynette had already approached Lyle and needed $2,000 to buy a mixer to do a bakery. So he simply walked out of the room and called Lynette and said, I'm going to make you that loan. It's going to be our first slow money loan.
Okay.
I went up the street to Angelina and said, how did you pay for this expansion? And she said, credit card debt. And I said, oh, that's terrible.
Okay.
Contacted a friend, Gary Thompson. He and I each lent her $3,000 and we took out
Right.
that credit card debt.
So
within a week, we'd done the first couple of
Okay.
slow money loans.
So that's okay. So that I wanted to make that.
So I don't want to
Yeah.
claim the first one.
Okay. But you want to claim the top one.
Well, the fun thing
It's
is that
important.
that was May. I went up in June to the national gathering in Vermont, and there were 600 people there under a big tent, and I was able to stand up and say, in North Carolina, we've just done a direct peer-to-peer slow money loan. And the room kind of went, really? There'd been lots of investments and equity investments, but not so much direct
So
loan.
what did you do different at that time? What was it that you had going on
Right.
at that time that was different than why you were able to do that and they hadn't been able to do it yet?
I think everyone was afraid that it would be illegal, that they had to find some way to do it. And we simply Googled promissory note, knew about the friends to family stipulation, did it as a personal loan, and did one. And then I came home and pretty much did them as fast as I could, put the word out, spent time with farmers markets, got a website up. The way to learn how to do something well is to just do it often.
I think you
No.
just do it.
And so we kind of put our heads down and did as
But
many
you
loans as we could.
did what Slow Money North Carolina does.
I kind of am
you
slow money.
you went and did exactly what you're doing.
I named it.
That's why it worked.
And we called it Slow Money North Carolina to be bold rather than say Slow Money Triangle as a way of saying, okay, we're going to try to do this in North Carolina. People in other parts of the country aren't using that. They're saying Slow Money Northern California, Slow Money Southern California, Slow Money.
But you did it peer to peer. I mean, you went right out and
I did.
connected.
Started connecting people.
Started connecting immediately.
Right. Hosting Slow Money gatherings.
Right.
That was the
Yeah.
big thing. We hosted meetings. We call them
Immediately.
gatherings all over the state.
So, unfortunately, as I say always at this time, it's almost time. So I want to make sure that all of our guests have a chance to share who they are again and how you find them. So, Jane, is there anything you want to share with our listeners, watchers, chatters?
Well, just to go to the Slow Money website and if you're local, come to a gathering or find one in your neighborhood or wherever you live. And as Carol said, if you have some money, make a loan.
Perfect. And Jen, do you have anything to say?
I really appreciate being included in the chat today. I am no longer under 30, but I have definitely felt the challenge to, invest in my local community. And I think that being introduced to the slow money concept is just is like a next step for me. And I'm enjoying getting through the book. And I would encourage others to pick it up too, because there's so many great stories that I think so many people can relate to.
Terrific. Here's the book again, just so you can see it. There we go. And then Carol?
Well, I have to say, step one is slowmoney.org. That's the national website. There's something there called the principles. Go sign the principles. That's number one. The more people we can say, thousands of people have signed on to the Slow Money principles. Start there. Then slowmoneync.org. That's my website. That's our website. That's your website if you're in North Carolina. Go on there. let us know that you're interested. We'll get you. We'll make sure you get our newsletters. We don't send them out very often, but we'll get you on there as well. You can send us an email, info@slowmoneync.org. Comes right to me. So does Carol at info@slowmoneync.org. And then absolutely go check out the Financing Our Food Shed website. The book is full of beautiful pictures taken by Bet Wilson Foley, and they're in color on the website. So join us. This is such a fulfilling movement. There's so many ways you can get engaged. I look forward to connecting with you soon.
And I want to thank you all for being here. It's been great to have you here sharing all that you have, because this is one of the things that, listen, when I talk about breaking free, this is at the epitome of breaking free. This is freedom. To be able to know where your food is, to be able to invest in your food, to save your food, this is freedom. So, take part in this, check out this book, and if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, click on my name above, and you can email me directly. You can like my new business page on Facebook, Marilyn Shannon. You can like the Breaking Free page on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Remember, I have a business coaching business, so business coaching business or coaching business. Anyway, you can always contact me. I'm happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. Tune in every single Monday at 1 o'clock. We offer you the best that there is in ways to help you break free. And remember to contact Carol, because this is one of the things I think is so important for us all to take advantage of. And I want to thank you, Amnon, as always, because you've been on your toes today. And everybody in the chat, thank you very, very much for all that you've been talking about. I know it's been interesting. I haven't been able to watch as much as usual, but I will go back and check it out. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. And ladies,
Thank you.
to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.